everyone. Welcome to the spot. My name is Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
And we have guest spotter Hassan joining us today. He's back with us. He joined us yesterday for Peak Valley recap. Today he's joining us for the Shy episode 2 Old Girl recap. Tiara is out this week. She'll be back later on next week. But anyway, we'll be back to recap episode 2. Okay, we're back and we're ready to jump into the Shy episode 2, Old Girl. And what did you guys think? Episode 2.
And look, I broke out with the Shy lights. Oh, girl. I'll be in trouble if you left me now.
Oh,
can't sing, but hey, that's what I broke it out. I was, what can I say?
It's real. It's really about, Emmett's about to lose his family. But he might gain his old boo back, so I'm excited. This is something.
That's very interesting. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. But Ron touched on the OG song, and so I think we should start there with the OGs because Tracy had a visit from the OGs.
Yes, indeed.
Quentin and Duda. Both of her boos are coming to visit her.
Her baby daddy,
her baby daddy,
and her old boo that she still cared for.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I got something to say about that.
Go ahead.
Tiffany is always on this girl code, right? Your girl Tracy is breaking that girl code. I told you that girl code don't mean a thing.
Tracy is not my girl though. I've always
no. I know she's not your girl, but she's breaking the girl code.
Oh yeah, that's a code she is that, and I'm just like. And I thought Tracy said at the end of last season that she was done with Duda. Remember she walked out his house and stuff? I thought she was done. It didn't look like she was done, did it? And basically when Quentin came, he was talking to her about her organization, and come to find out, Duda thought he said he was financing her organization, made it possible. But all the time, Quentin has been a silent investor through Duda.
Right.
And now they're getting on her talking about they want the city to go back to the way it used to be. They're getting on her about, getting rid of the police and saying, listen, the police and politicians can be used as pawns and stuff. And it's interesting. Like it seems like they're going to use Tracy to use her organization as a front to get the city back to the way they used to be. And I'm just like, how? I'm like, Tracy, you gonna go? I mean, I guess she's in a tough spot because he gave her the money, but I'm just like, Tracy gonna go along with that? Like, you know what you said your mission is, like after your son died and everything. And I just thought that was interesting. What do y'all think?
I think they're really going to use Victor. I think Victor's going to be used now because now, AKA, he's going to be used now as a pawn in regards to meeting a new woman, living a life that he's not really acceptable of in order to get where he's trying to go in life. So I don't think they're using him. It's going to be Victor. He's going to be the one.
I mean, of course. I mean, I get that they're going to use Victor / Trigg, right. But they're using Tracy to get to Victor and Trigg, because Tracy is the one who went to Trigg and said, hey, your picture is in here, as a rising star, I can help you get your record expunged. And she brought that information back to Duda. And Duda was like, well, I can help him, but he's gonna have to do everything that I say. So I'm like, so Tracy is in the mix.
Well, not only is she in the mix, she's playing both sides. And what bothers me the most about what she's doing is, on the one hand, she and Victor have developed something in the community that is positive. And then on the one hand, you got your boy coming back who wants to, put the city back into turmoil and drug dealing, which is what he's accustomed to. And she's feeding into it, allowing both Quentin and Duda to run this ship. See, neither one of them have Chicago in their best interest. It's just that they want to do what they want to do, and she's feeding into it. And I don't particularly like the idea that she's doing that and then going back to her old flame, Duda. So what game is she playing? What is she doing?
That's what I'm saying.
She has a mission. She has a mission. We don't see the mission that she has, but if she's playing both sides, she's going to be close to Victor, of course, and then she's going to be close to Duda. She has a motive behind it, I believe.
Oh yeah, it's to keep her organization. Like, it's clear that organization means a lot to her, and it means a lot to her too because she lost her son. And I understand that. So I guess she figures to get the financing and keep it moving. She doesn't want to lose what she built. But at the same time, I feel like her teaming up with Quentin and doing this is hypocritical. I do. I feel like this. You're saying this is your mission for the city, but these folks want to take it back to, they want to be able to control, because he said Quentin was like, gangs always ran the city. So he wants to go back to that mode, the gangs running the city and controlling the police, politicians and stuff like that. And I'm just like, Tracy.
And not only that, he mentioned to Duda that your thing is gang, street related. And that's where you need to be. And so she's got to see that she's playing both ends, but she's playing both ends not with the sense, to me, of trying to win. I think she's kind of caught up right now, and she really doesn't understand what she's doing because Quentin doesn't give a damn about the service that she's providing the city. He doesn't care. And Duda just likes power. So Duda.
And she likes Duda.
Because
that's the thing. She's still like under his spell.
Exactly, but it's about control. It's about control. They want organized crime back because at the end of the day, they're protected. They feel like if we're policing each other, who's the protector? In crime, it has to be a protector. If anything does happen, you go to somebody, you talk to somebody, and somebody handles things. But with them policing themselves, Trigg is the boss. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, if they don't have police in pocket, what do the crime, like what's going on? And he wants to go back to paying the police, having them on payroll, knowing what's going on. That way they can't be attacked, opposed to just them policing themselves as a whole city.
Yeah. And I feel for Trigg or Victor because, he definitely wants to get out of that old life. And he seemed to be making, great grounds in doing so. And I honestly, it'll be interesting to me to see he take that deal, because as we saw in episode 1, when he was approached, about his look, his new lady friend who is just there for the cameras. He wasn't all interested in that. And
he was at first when he looked at it.
Well, he was interested in what he saw. I mean, he saw a fine woman,
Right.
but I think when the whole matter was brought to his attention as to what this is all about, this is all about
playing for the cameras.
Yeah, this is all about playing for the cameras. Got nothing to do with you falling in love with a girl, with a girl. So I'm not sure if he's all in with that. And he'd be making a mistake getting back in with Duda and Quentin. He'd be making a big mistake because all they want him to do is run the streets.
And be the face.
And be the face.
They want to be able to control him like a puppet.
Right.
And the other thing I was wondering though, if he would be able to make the council anyway, because remember that video was out there of him beating that kid down. I can see that video.
It's gonna come back. It's gonna come back.
Yeah, so I can see that coming out while he's trying to run.
I was gonna say whoever he's running against, they're gonna use that because they're gonna remember that. First and foremost, Duda is helping him getting his record expunged. So his criminal history won't be able to be brought up in regards to it. But that video will cause someone to say, all right, if he's beating on children, Is he gonna beat his way in the office and control the people through violence?
Yeah, it's not gonna
Coming
be
from a
okay.
gang, he's gang related. You
Well,
know,
look at it this way. We had a former president that said he could walk down Pennsylvania Avenue and shoot somebody and not get in trouble for it, and he made it to the highest position in the land. So I think
But he's also white.
well, yeah, but you know, Duda he has some. I wouldn't put anything past Duda. Let me just put it that way.
Absolutely.
I think that you're right that piece will reveal itself, and it could cause a problem, but it just depends. I think the neighborhood depends enough on Duda. They believe. I mean, not Duda, but Trigg. They respect him now. They see what he's doing, and I think if he can gain enough interest there, he should be. He can outlive that video. That's my point.
He will, but then remember, we also got to keep in mind the puppet master is back.
Yeah.
The puppet master run the city through Duda, through Victor, I believe.
Yeah, and you know what? You're probably right. You know, because the people do believe that Trigg knows their walk and everything, and that he's serious about the community, which I believe too. I do believe that Trigg is serious about the community and helping the community and stuff. So they might give him a chance. Listen, if Ghost can run for lieutenant governor in power after being accused of murder,
Did you have to go there?
You know,
then
Trigg can run for city council.
Well, getting back to Ghosts for just a quick second. I'm just going to be for a minute. It's only going to be for a short minute. Okay, give me a minute to let me say this on Ghost's behalf. Ghost was Ghost. Okay, so he wasn't out there, you know, in the public's eye as a villain. Right. As a villain. Now, of course, you know, we know some things. Some folk know some things about Ghost, but Ghost was sharp. He was intelligent. Not stated Trigg isn't, but he was a brilliant mind. He was intelligent, and he knew what he was doing. Now, some people like, you know, I'm not going to name names, but I will give abbreviations. TC, T being the first initial, and T being the last initial of the last name. People like them, you know, they always want to see the bad in Ghost, and then say that they don't see it.
That's not true.
But you know, it's just my opinion. That's how I see it. You know, I didn't write the script, but that's how I see it. You know.
And Duda, you know, same thing. He had a background, but he's also sharp. He has a brilliant mind and everything. And we see, which also surprised me, that Duda was interviewing, and he did an interview, and I was just like, wow, this guy is able to brisk back into town and do an interview. Like he almost beat a man half to death. And I was really surprised at Marcus's response to Trigg, just saying like that he's just willing to sit on the on the tape and use it as leverage. And I was just like, really? Like, you don't think there should be any consequences for this, or you're not going to tell anybody? I mean, snitches get stitches. I understand that, but I'm just wondering, like, wow.
He's a marketer, and I think he looks at everything through colored glass, and that's what he's really doing. You know, he's trying to say, well, wait a minute, let's see how far this thing can go, and we'll just keep this as a bird in the hand. And you know, so he's playing it that way, rather than letting this evil man get back into position. Because, as you said, Duda might be intelligent and brilliant at times, but he's evil, and that's the main concern you have to have with this brother, because he'll kill you in a second if he gets upset with you. You know, he doesn't mind wiping you out.
He proved that. He definitely proved that he's street savvy and he's boardroom savvy. He can come back, like you said, Tiff, in regards to being a mayor again. You could take a hiatus and say, you know, I was doing therapy or doing these things, and I could come back and get my job back. You know, he's coming back for a reason, and I believe that the city's going to trust him, and I believe that they're going to mend the relationship with the cops. You know what I mean? That way, that way the balance comes back. He's coming back because, you know, they looked at the city while they were gone, while they took their little breaks, and seeing that it wasn't being ran correctly, you know. And of course, if they're making money both ways, of course, somebody in the police commissioner probably called them up like, you know, we're not making any money because this is going on. We're not doing these things. So and the city's being ran by someone who used to be a gang member. Now he wants to be the head of the police and in regards to the community. It worked. You know, it worked, but it also, the money probably slowed up on both ends. So now, you know, things are going to change. They're going to go back to being different again. They're going to be back.
And his wife, Rosalind, right? I think she stepped in for him, right? So basically she's the one running the city right now, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, he's still in play. He still is the head of everything.
That's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Okay. So
Okay.
what about Miss Peaches?
Yeah, Miss Peaches, Trigg, Victor, and Jake's mom showed up at the school, popped up.
New character alert.
New character. Well, she was there before.
She
She just wasn't.
Yeah,
She
she
just
was there, but she
wasn't clean.
Right.
That's how Trigg was able to get, you know, guardianship.
Right.
Well, and because Doodah didn't show up, you know, or whatever, he allowed him to get custody. But now she's back and she wants to be a part of their lives.
You think she's clean?
She looked clean.
Yeah, she looked good.
She did. She looked good, but for how long?
For how long? Yeah.
Well, I think it'll be long because now she sees that the status her son's going to get, he'll be able to put her on her feet financially, and she probably is a good woman, you know. And they'll show a little bit about who she is, you know. And now she can feel like, now I can get my family back. You know, my son is about something. My other son, you know, he has a girlfriend who's, you know, her character is going to evolve as well too. But it's a reason why, you know, she's being shown in the respect that Trigg / Victor gave her when he seen her. You know, it was like, okay, and he listened. You know, he listened. I want to see my son. I wanted to, you know, her voice matters. So obviously it mattered in their lives. It just, she happened to be in the place she was when she went away, you know, being on drugs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she definitely should not be demonized for that. And everybody deserves a second chance and everything. And at the end of the day, you know, the kids want their parents. They want their mothers, because even Jake was like, you know, she can't stay with us. Like, he asked her questions like, where have you been? And I, you know, when I saw that, I really thought about, you know, I know sometimes we talk about Kevin and what Kevin has been through. And I think one of our commenters said that to us, but I thought about Jake and I was like, Jake has been through a lot. He's been through a lot. You know, he lost his brother, he lost Reg. The mom was on drugs, and then he was in Doodah's household, and then murder. He's seen all types of things, and at the end of the day, he's still a kid.
Right.
You know, and I thought about that, like when they had that scene where her showing up at the school, and the woman in the office said that she was still on the list to pick him up. And I was like, wow, emergency contact. He's still a minor. He's still a kid. But you forget that because he's lived so much.
Right.
And everything.
But do you think that the way she popped into their lives, it seems to suggest that she is on the up and up? And I say that because a lot of times when people are suffering from you know, an addiction, particularly when it comes to drugs of certain type, you know, they look clean, as you said earlier, they come, but how you come back, she abruptly just jumps back into their you know, their grace, or wants to jump back into their grace without clearing the past. There's still a lot of open wounds. And I think that those are going to have to be dealt with before there's any kind of kumbaya.
Absolutely.
I think she wants the space to do that. I think that's why she wants to stay with them and everything, and why Jake said that. I think they want the opportunity to get to know him, because when you think about it, when Trigg popped up on the scene, Reg had just died. Jake didn't know Trigg.
Right.
So it took some time even for Jake to, you know, get to know Trigg and get to the point that he was living with him. Because at first, you know, he was kind of okay with living with Doodah. He was going to this fancy school, and he was getting, even though Doodah was, you know, strict disciplinarian and everything, but he, you know, it took some time for Trigg to win Jake over, to get to know him and get him to a point that he wanted to even live with Trigg and stuff. So the thing is, now the mother's gonna have to do the same. And not only she have to prove herself to Jake because he's, you know, he's the baby, but even to Trigg. He's a grown man, but you know, you can tell that he wants his mom too.
Yeah, I think, you know, both Jake and Trigg have good intentions with their mother. I just didn't see it in her face. I didn't see the earnestness in her face, or eyes, I should say. And that's what concerned me. It doesn't mean it's not there. She could just be a hard type of woman to begin with. You know, but I would take her back, but certainly I would take her back with a level of caution, because you don't want to pour all into her and then she drops out again, because that could be the end of the relationship, you know, forever. So you have to be careful.
I think she's going to dictate a lot in regards to once he get in the position or make that transition, he's going to accept the relationship in that role, I believe, in that Doodah has for him. He's going to accept it. And then I think he might even grow into it, especially with his mom back around, showing her that relationship as well. She might, with him signing that NDA, he can't talk about it, right? So mom won't know it's not real. His brother won't know it's not real. The public won't know it's not real. And his ex won't know it's not real. So she's going to play a role back into it too. It's going to all transition. And his mom is going to be the reasoning for it staying structured that way, I think.
The problem with an NDA, if it's structured correctly, it prevents you from if any kind of illegal activity that's going on, any kinds of backdoor stuff, things that are going on. You are sworn to that NDA, and you can't say anything. And he was smart enough, at least at the time, not to sign it. Now, will he sign it? Yeah, you know, that's going to be questionable. But you know, with those two, we know there's a lot of nefarious activities that it will be going on. And I don't know if I would want to sign an NDA with two thugs.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, well, he's right. He has not signed it yet, and so we're gonna see what he plans to do with that. Because I do believe he wants to make a difference in the city, but I think, you know, he doesn't want to live a lie and have a fake relationship and do all this stuff with the camera. What about your boy Rashad? Your boy Rashad was even pushing him to do it.
Look, when he started singing from good old Uncle Charlie, I mean, you know, I was like,
well, that's
he was singing Luther.
No, oh yeah, Luther.
That was Luther.
That was Luther.
I take you out tonight. Yeah.
He sounded like Uncle Charlie a little bit, though.
Yeah,
Oh, he got a little voice.
He got a little voice on him. I'm like, God, go ahead, man. Let me hear.
No, remember he played Little Michael in old, you know, Jackson story.
Yeah.
So he has a little voice on him. I was waiting for Trigg, Luke James to come over there and fire it up. But anyway, you know, he almost blew his chance. They both were ogling the sister.
Absolutely.
And they both were looking at her and trying to shoot their shot. And Rashad said he was going to shoot his shot. And he was a little overzealous at first. he told her a little too much too soon. Too soon about, you know, him being locked up. But he recovered, though. He recovered. I like the way he recovered. And I'm glad sis gave him a chance and didn't immediately shut him down. Because in her face looked like Pac-Man, like, woo!
Yeah. I'm going. That's what she.
Yeah, she was about to peace out on him real quick. But once, you know, he recovered and he was like, listen, you know, that was my past. I'm here trying to do things for the community now. This is what I'm trying to do in the future. You know, she gave him another chance. So I thought that was cool.
I give her kudos for that too, because she was right to second guess. You know, she's very right with that. But I love the fact she gave him an opportunity to speak. If I were he, though, I wouldn't say anything about jail till I put a few biscuits in her.
Yeah, see,
not in the introduction. Now maybe
not in the introduction.
No,
He
no.
needed the baby.
Date.
He needed the baby stepper, but that just goes to show how he is. He's getting reacclimated to being out too. Like he's adjusting and still growing and everything, and just being readjusted to being outside, and then meeting a different type of woman, because we see later he ended up cooking dinner for her and everything, which was really nice. Fried shrimp Alfredo. I'll take it.
Cannot now listen, right? This is what we just talked about Trigg. Now, Tiff, when you were just talking, it came to me, right? Now, will he be attacked, right? Once, because Trigg record got expunged.
Right.
So now this is going to be his right hand, his running. This is going to be the person with him. Is he going to be attacked? His history going to be brought up when he gets into politics, you think?
No, because
well, they kind of fractured their friendship because he like, I gotta leave you alone because our relationship might be brought up now that I'm going to be a politician.
Well, one thing for sure, Duda is not going to allow Rashad to be anywhere near Victor during his campaign.
Absolutely.
How that affects their relationship will largely depend on Sean. So if he's big enough to understand, the dynamics, I say no. But relationships are fragile because people think the way they do. So it would be interesting to see how it plays out.
That's why I think he got a woman now. You know what I mean? Now he has someone to pillow talk to.
Yeah, that should help because she's a cute little sister. So maybe he might have something going on there.
You're talking about Rashad?
She's going to a wine testing. This boy ain't never. He used to have a hooch. Now he's going.
I was crazy. He thought he was doing something with Moscato, but Moscato was cool. But I like Sis because I like wine tasting and wineries and stuff too. So I was like, so Sis is putting him on to things, and I appreciate that. I appreciate him being open to receiving. I really appreciate the emphasis from the sisters, like introducing them to new things. Because even with little Kevin, like when he met little Simone, the young lady from the dance, and she started talking to him about
the stars
and the moon and stuff like that, astronomy. And I was like, okay, young sis, like she's curious, and Kevin is like, huh? So I was like, learn some things from each other,
I am. It's cool to be from two different backgrounds, because while she's trying to upgrade him, he can still keep her feet planted so that she doesn't go way out left wing. So it's cool to come from two different backgrounds,
It is.
Sean, learn as much as you can, but be who you are. And I like the fact that that's what he did. He came straight up with her. This is who I am. And if you can't take it, leave it, So I appreciate that one.
And even like with the situation with Gemma and Jake, we saw them have a conversation because in the beginning, Jake was he didn't pick Gemma up from school. Kids noticed it and stuff. And of course, I'm gonna get back to the kids because we gotta talk about Papa. But right now, I'm talking about Jake and Gemma. Jake, when he finally had to sit down with Gemma, he apologized for his behavior, and she basically, rationalized and she gave him some grace and was like, you didn't F up, but you were angry and you didn't know how to express it,
right.
And stuff, because these different things are happening in his life. He was mad that he, didn't make the team. Papa clowned him in front of everybody, his boy. And then now his mom has popped up from out of nowhere. Oh, and also Imani left. So while at first Jake dismissed it and was like, Imani was Trigg's girl, but she was part of their household. They were a family.
Absolutely.
So he's gonna still be affected. That's another loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that, honestly. I agree with you. So we can leave that on the table. I agree with you 100%. But, a lot of times if somebody shows you who they are, you got to believe them the first time. even though he's going through a lot of things, I just think the way he came at Gemma was wrong. You know,
He was definitely wrong.
not just wrong. It showed me something about who he is, or at least his character. Now, can his character change? Yes. But typically when a person's character changes, it's because of something catastrophic in their life. And that's what causes you to change. But a lot of times people's characters just don't change. They are who they are. So Gemma is very philosophical, and she likes to, you know, she likes Jake. So hopefully that can work out. But I'm worried for Gemma. That's my major concern.
No, I hear you. I mean, he may not be her white knight to say like P Valley,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm not writing Jake off because he's a kid, you know, and he's still growing and he's still learning. And the thing is, what she did in that conversation, she was helping him work out his feelings and stuff. And that's the thing. I mean, he still needs guidance. And you know, I just mentioned a few minutes ago all that he has been through. And that's a lot to endure for a child, which he still is. Regardless of the fact he out here having sex and dating girls and all this stuff. At the end of the day, he's a minor, he's still a child.
But I think he also needs some psychological help. I don't know if Gemma can give him everything he needs.
Oh, no.
That's I think where the point I'm actually coming from is that, you know, before you can take on a serious relationship, and Gemma wants a serious relationship, I think you gotta get this right. Because if it's not right, anything can flare him up again, and who knows what'll happen.
Yeah, you know, him being that young, I believe, you know, traumatically, she can't help him. But I mean, because she has her own trauma as well, you know, she's being raised by a single father, you know, so I think they're gonna start to complement each other because both of them are suffering. Literally, both of them are suffering. You know, his mom is coming back around. Her mom is never going to be around again, but they deal with a lot of things together, and she supports him. You know, he's singing to her now. He's coming out of who he was, and he's making that transition too as well. You know, from being a young man to a man. So, you know, he's gonna learn to be, because of her, more in tune with his emotions because she's testing him.
Real quick, let me bring this in to light because I think it's going to show its ugly face at some point. They are of two different cultures, and Gemma is a little more polished, refined, and is she really into Jake, or is it just a bypass? Is will she just, you know, come back to who she really is or how she was really raised and find someone else, which could really tear Jake apart? You know, because Jake probably hadn't had a girlfriend, much like Gemma, or probably won't. You know, I don't know. I don't want to draw that inference, but what I fear is that she's just, her refinement is a little different than his, and it's going to be questionable whether she keeps with the likes of Jake and not move up to someone who's more at her caliber.
I don't know. You know, we'll see. But you know, right now he's in the same school she is. He's getting the same opportunities she is, and things and stuff. And you know, the sky is the limit.
Which is why
it does not, you know,
it just makes it even more important that their lives don't change because of the mama, because of Duda. See, there's a lot of variables floating around that could really make a very harmful situation for Jake.
Of course.
And those are the things that I think Trigg is going to have to really come to grips with.
Well, you know what? They might be at a crossroads anyway, because what if Gemma finds out that Duda's back in town? What if Gemma and Victor Trigg runs for office, and now she finds out that Duda is backing him, and you know, she's going to feel a way that like, you're allowing the man who basically almost beat my father to death to back your campaign?
Absolutely.
And who knows? Gemma had that footage. She was the one that got the footage in the first place. Gemma
Mhm.
might mess around and release that footage. You
Yeah.
know, we thinking about Trigg and Marcus or whatever, but what if Gemma says, no, wait a minute?
And you know what that's going to do to their relationship.
Exactly.
But do you think it would go that far, being that her father is still going to back Trigg?
Yeah, I do. I think it will, because Gemma, you know, that door hasn't closed for Gemma.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
'Cause she's seen it.
yeah, and I don't think she'll ever find Duda, you know, to be any kind of upstanding citizen. So the mere fact that he's come back and he's trying to go back into his old ways, you know, that's going to set her off.
Of course.
And if she
She's a
finds out,
child.
yeah, and if she finds out that her father knows, you know, that's really going to piss her off.
Yeah, at the
Absolutely.
end of the day, she doesn't care about politics.
No,
You
exactly.
almost killed my dad.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
You might be right too, because remember they showed the detailed point when the dad laid down beside her and was like, "I want us to be more than me just being your father. I want to be your friend." So she'll feel like, wow, you know, because she'll probably start to open up to him a lot more and not look at him just as dad and express how she feels, you know, because she has a lot of political views, a lot of personal views. So now she can like, Dad, well, how can I look at you as a man and you allow someone to only almost take your life and you still try to enhance their life? You know what I mean? So this is going to be, yeah, her role is going to change, I think, a lot.
Mhm.
You know, and that's a good point that you said in regards to that. It's going to be wild. Yeah, her character is really going to do some things. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about Jake and the kids and everything, and Papa. Papa is being humble this week.
Come on, Papa.
So,
Come on,
you
Papa.
know, there's a difference between being humble and realizing that your social campaign is dropping, and you need to do something to fix it. Now, was he right? Yes. But was he wrong in his delivery? Yes. You know, you have to find a way, Papa, with your youthfulness. You have to find a way to be right and be socially accepted in what you're saying. You know, it would have been better off him having a podcast on fathers being in the home, as opposed to putting Jake's mess out in the public like that, public's eye, and then ridiculing him about not making the basketball team. You know, that's a double negative. You're never going to recover from that. Well, you shouldn't, because it wasn't called for. Whether you thought you were funny or not, you know, that's another issue, but it wasn't funny and you hurt somebody. You could have. Luckily, Jake took it the way he did, but any other guy would have probably jumped out of the stands and it would have been an ugly fight.
It hurt Jake. He just processed it a different way. Gemma got the brunt of his hurt.
Exactly.
And he was right to talk about the Black families being under attack and stuff. I get where he was coming from, but you don't, you know.
No, you don't.
When the family feuds, number one, and number two, you don't put your friend and you know, brother on Front Street and air dirty laundry like that. So he did that. And then at first, I mean, in the end, he got to an apology, but at first he did not. He doubled down and was like, all the greats get dragged. He tweeted that, which was not a real apology. And you see they had made memes and everything about him. Maisha, good old Maisha, is still his friend. And she just kind of helped him to see that he needed to humble himself. And he did apologize to Jake and everything. And so, you know, these kids they're growing and they're learning, and they're going to make mistakes like we all do and everything. And speaking of mistakes, I want to talk about Emmett because the episode started off with Emmett, you know, he's taking care of his kids. He's, you know,
he's
so
being responsible.
I've been impressed with Emmett's growth. Like, I know he made a mistake with Tiff, with Dom and everything, but I've been impressed with his growth. He's, you know, he's accountable and present and taking care of his kids and stuff. And I'm proud of that brother.
But it's
Yes, my namesake, on the other hand, I am, she's on our who can get the hands list. I am really disappointed in her. I don't like how she's moving at all. I'm like, her going and moving with this man, and we talked about this last week and stuff, and then taking a child was not a good look. You barely know this man and stuff. And then to top it all off, like Emmett ended up being late for school to pick the baby up from school, EJ. And Rob picked him up. She has Rob, this guy that she just really met, on the list to pick up their son. And then you made that decision without discussing it with Emmett. I don't like that at all.
Let's go a couple of steps back. First of all, I don't know what kind of junk you're putting in your kid's head, but when all three kids were at the table and Emmett asked what they wanted to eat and so forth, his kid said something about macaroni and cheese or something, and or he was playing with one of the other kids or hitting him or something. And Emmett tried to correct him and said, stop doing whatever you were doing. And he said, I don't have to listen to you or something to that effect. And you're just my dad on the weekends.
On the weekends.
See, that's that stinking thinking that mama's putting in his head.
Absolutely.
And you putting that in that young man's head now. So quite naturally, that's what it showed. It showed a level of disrespect for your father because of what your mama's putting in your head. And frankly, I'm man enough to say this, that Rob ain't as handsome as Emmett. And they both cut from the same cloth. So I don't know why you're with Rob in the first place. Rob is, he's trying to show himself as, all she needs, yada, yada, yada. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second.
But did you see the house that Rob lives in? And you see,
I mean, he's hooked, but why is he hooked up like that? What, is
Well,
this
weed? He sells weed.
Yeah, he's a supplier for the dispensary.
That's my point. My whole point. So
but it's legal.
Well,
it's legal.
Well, well, I'm sure he's been doing it at a point in time when it wasn't. So now he's in the game.
Says who? Like we don't know that.
Yeah, we do. Look, legalized.
We don't know that.
Marijuana hadn't been legalized, but only a couple of years now in some cities. So
he owns a dispensary, and she and Dom are partners with him, and that's what also makes it complicated because you moving with him, you're doing business with him, and then it seemed like she doesn't really want commitment from him either. So I'm like, okay, so you leave your husband because he wasn't willing to give you what you want, and now you in this man's house. And he's talking about monogamy. He said he don't believe in open relationships and he wants monogamy. Acting like you don't want that. I just like, she's all over the place for me. And then if you all over the place and you are trying to find yourself, or you want to be a city girl, hot girl, you have a young child and stuff, and you can't be injecting your child into them circumstances, especially with a guy that you don't even know.
Right.
Doesn't it hurt?
And she said it out of her mouth. She said out of her own mouth, we barely know each other. And I'm like, if you barely know him, why did you feel comfortable enough to have him pick your child up from school?
Right. But that's the whole point. It hurts, right? And I really feel bad for Emmett. Now that he's getting it together, isn't it crazy how ironic in life, the moment you get it together, he's going through, he lost his wife. Now he wants his wife back. He wants to gain his family back. And she's gone. She's seeing, Kevin's sister live her life. She's a single woman now. They're going to parties. They're hanging out, and it's tough. She has two men that really want to be with her. Two men. And it's going to be tough now to make that decision because that's what's going to cause Emmett to go back, because now the person who he really was supposed to be with. And now watch, that relationship is going to be that way. And then she's going to be forced to stay because she moved her kid into this home. She put him on the list. He's financially stable, stuff that Emmett wasn't. He's becoming that, but he wasn't that.
Mm-hmm. No, he wasn't that. Like I'm not trying to negate how Tiff felt because, Emmett did cheat on her before and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to be dismissive of that at all.
But
and I think, with her, she's still young and she got to a point that she wants to get, but I do like that she and Kiesha were able to develop a friendship I don't think it's gonna last because I saw the previews and it looks like Emmett and Keisha, there's still something there. And when they were together, they did have great chemistry. So that's gonna be messy if Keisha and Emmett cross the line.
They
Because
befriended each other. They're
No.
friends.
yeah, they're
No.
friends. So Tiff is going.
I get it. I get it that Emmett messed up, and he messed up several times. But you took him back several times, and then you decided to marry him. At what point do you bury the axe
Absolutely.
and go forward? You know, but instead of that, you went backwards, and now you want to bring up his past as your reasoning for being the tramp that you are. So,
Wow.
well, hey, I'm calling a spade a spade. You're gonna act like a tramp, you're a tramp. And if you're gonna poison your son's mind over his father who's trying his best to be a good dad, you're a tramp. If you're gonna walk into another man's house, which you barely know, and bring your young son who really has a father to take care of him, and you would rather have this guy you don't know acting like some stepdad to this boy, you're a tramp. So my whole point is, I don't care what it was. Yeah, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. So if you don't like it, then you should have left him, and it should have been a clean break. Hey, look, I can't get over what you've done. You're a good man. I like the way you're handling our child and your other two kids or whatever. Go your way. But the rate that you're going about it, you're doing what he did to you, a tit for tat. That doesn't make it right, and it doesn't answer the questions or solve the issue that he had in his past. Now, if he's trying to change, allow him to change, but you shouldn't have married him in the first place. You should not have done that. If you're going to keep him, if you're going to keep his past in front of him every single moment of his life, that's a relationship that cannot and will not work out. But you don't have to be a tramp about it.
Oh. Yeah, well, you know, he should have, we talked about this last season, contact, but it's funny that she does not have forgiveness for Emmett this time. She's at her limit with him, but she forgave Dom enough to still do business with her.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting. So what is it that you're actually pissed off about? I mean, are you mad at the fact that Emmett just screws around at will? Or is there something else going on in your head? Because I don't understand you picking up with the girl who your husband or whoever, boyfriend, fiance just slept with. So I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going on in her mind.
Well, one of the things that I'm thinking is that they are still kind of young, even though they got married. They're like, I think they're like 21 or whatever. So maybe she feels like, okay, I had a kid, I got married, and I probably should have lived a little before I made that step. So maybe that's what she's thinking.
And that's fine. I don't have that issue. And that's why I want to make this poignantly clear. I don't have an issue with Tiffany coming to a realization that she hasn't lived and she wants to do so.
Right.
My problem is the way you're going about it. That's my problem. You got a son and you're not showing him anything that he can take home and learn from. You're teaching him bad behaviors from the very beginning. Hate your dad. Be okay with, running the streets with some dude that you don't know, being in, living with somebody you don't know. This transference of I don't want to say evil, but it's a mess. You're transferring what he did, and now you're doing the same thing, and you think it's okay?
I don't think she thinks it's okay. I think it could be a frustration on her part, showing that, wow, he pushed me out here to be this way, right?
No,
because remember, she said, I'm gonna tell you why. You could be right, but I'm gonna tell you why I think that. She said she really loved him, like really loved him, right? So now if he forced her to do this and be this way because he was this way, she could be showing her like, wow, you know, I didn't want to be this way, because like the great Jay-Z said, once a good girl going, she going forever. She was a good girl, right? And now he was like, you know, he introduced her to this lifestyle. You know, like, let's go out and do this.
Remember, Tiffany wanted the open marriage, not Emmett.
I think that was a test, though. This time, like, no, like, I'm gonna get it together. I'm sorry.
Well, test or not, she's the one that wanted it, and she's the one.
She did, and he didn't want it. At the end of the day, he didn't really like the open.
Exactly. Look, I'm not saying that people, you know, people can't be transformed into something because of someone's behavior. And my point being is, if that is the case, you knew that before you married him. You knew who he was. You know, again, if people show you who they are, you got to believe them. And if you accept him, then you accept who he is. Now, it appears that he's trying to be a better man. And you are tearing that better man down to where he was before.
Well, actually, I think he's still trying to grow, because, you know, we see that he's listening to the motivational guys. Look, and guess who it is? It's Peaches from Snowfall. We're looking for Peaches. He done ran off with Franklin's money on Snowfall.
Exactly.
But Peaches is in the shy speaking about giving motivational speeches and encouraging celibacy. Which, you know, which I think is a good idea for Emmett. I think is a good idea.
Sure, no more babies, no more babies, no more baby mamas.
But you know,
get your mind right, get your mind clear and stuff, and focus on you. You know,
get that spirit inside of you together.
Yes.
But he's been doing that. It's a man's man to be able to take 3 of your kids for 4 days. That's something that you've never done before.
Did it?
And try to bring them up, you know, and getting to know your 3 kids in that fashion, allowing them to know each other as brothers. You know, that's a man's man.
Absolutely.
He sure was making them.
You got a tramp, but you got a tramp.
Stop it! Stop calling her that.
Look, you show me something different, I'll stop saying it. But you know, I'm not buying that you hurt me, so I'm going to do everything to hurt you and everything else around you. When you do that, you're really hurting yourself more.
True. You know, he's making a great transition, right? And it's sad that the way it is in the world, but that's really the way that it is. You know, we can transition on to being great people, but the closest one to us often makes us pay for the past, right? It could come out that she is doing that to hurt him, and she's getting herself caught up, because we learn, we're human. We understand if you deal with more than one person at a time, it can cause confusion. She's confused, right? But Emmett is really seeing who he really is. He's starting to love himself, right? Without the flesh. So he can focus on himself, right? Now, once he comes back around, once he starts to love himself and understand he don't have to settle for what he once did, he's going to go back. He's going to go back, not to his wife, but to the one he dreamed about, in regards to the one he really cares about. And that's going to cause the story to twist a bunch more, because she was like, wow, I befriended you. I became your friend. I told you, you told me to go back to him, and now you're with him? Because she told him to go back to him. Why don't you give him another chance? You know, stop, leave him. You know, he's trying, because she really knows, but his wife is not paying attention to his growth at all. And that's the reality of life sometimes too.
That's right. And the thing is, he and Kiesha have always been friends too. They've always been friends, because when Kiesha was kidnapped, Emmett was out there passing out flyers.
Absolutely.
He was leading the search. He was really like emotionally supportive of her. Even when she found out she was pregnant, he was there for her during that time. You know,
they pillow talk this
they've been tight. So, you know, and that's what you want in a partner too, though. I mean, you don't just want a lover, you want a friend and stuff. And you know, if they can have both. And when you think about Tiff, when we first were introduced to Tiff, her and Emmett's relationship was kind of volatile anyway. Right. Like, you know, it was always drama when he went over there to get his son and stuff. So the foundation was always, well, in the beginning it was shaky, and it grew to a point that I was like, oh, okay. When they came to the point that they were getting ready to get married, I was like, okay, they really grown a lot, because in the beginning I did not see it for Tiff and Emmett.
Right.
You know,
It became a whole lot.
At a
they
level,
did, but I was like,
sometimes we look at a level of acceptance as growth. And I don't know if it was as much growth as it was just a level of acceptance. She accepted Emmett for who he is. And then Emmett started to change. So there was growth in Emmett, you know, getting the restaurant and everything. So we saw his growth. We haven't seen Tiffany's growth yet.
Yeah, but that's when I think her growth is going to come out, when Emmett goes back to his first love.
And that's
when it's going to come out.
I don't know. That's going to be very problematic, because you just you befriended Keisha, and now Emmett's back with her. That's a mix I can't see making a nice cake from.
But it's great content. So writers, if you're listening, Shy, if you're listening, listen to us. We know what's going on. We can see it.
yeah,
That is what you call a truly devil's food cake. Okay.
Absolutely. And this is where it's going to start to get juicy. You know, them showing the previews this week for next week. I'm like, oh man, it's going to be a lot, because she's like, I'm excited about the next episode. I really think, you know, a lot is going to come out. You know, Emmett, I'm worried about him. You know, he's going to go on this thing of really getting in tune with himself more. He's listening to self-help videos. So now he's like, wow, you know, I'm really, and his dad told him, it's going to be drilled in the back. She don't want you. She don't want you. Meanwhile, his dad is going back to he's fighting for his first love, right?
It sure is.
So now son gonna be like, hold up, yeah, you're right, Dad. You know, she don't want me. I'm gonna go back to my first love, my friend, the person who I will always call and talk about all my baby moms, the stress that they're putting me through, right? This is the person he talked to about everything.
Everything.
He was going through her problems, first person. So those two, they're going to be tied back together, and I think they're going to push the narrative, because they're meant to be together, just like mom and pop is meant to be together.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting though, because, you know, she speaking of mom and pop, because Jada told Suede that, you know, she kissed Darnell, and Suede was like, you want to be with him? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, uh-oh. And so they talked about it, and he asked her, he told her he loved her, and she said she loved him too. And he said, are you willing to fight for us? And she said, yeah. And you know, and they proceeded to get it on. But I was just like, ooh.
Look, guys, just so that I don't get anybody's comments about who hurt me. Nobody's hurt me. I just got to say what I got to say, okay? Jada is problematic. You got this dude, Suede. Again, I don't know what it is with these women who accept what you have what you have, you accept it, but then at this point, you know, you want something different. Or you go back into the same mess that you were in. I get relationships have a way of, you know, they linger, and you know, and when she was in that group with the girlfriends, Jada didn't exactly tell the truth on how that kiss came about. She said, well, we were talking, and all of a sudden it was like I was in high school again. Bull, you know what comes after that. You promulgated that by, man just asked a simple question, and you, with that very sexy tone and that risque kind of attitude, said, is that all you can fix?
You know what? I think, you know, as good as Suede has been and supportive and everything, and he loves her, I think, you know, subconsciously, she has an issue with his age. And I think Darnell, you know, she has history with Darnell. They have a child, so that's already a bond. But Darnell is around her age and everything too. So I think that has, I think she probably had a hard time thinking that she could go the, you know, the long haul with Suede. you know.
You're missing it. Come on, Tiff. I thought you would get this. I thought you would get this. She's confused. You know how important sex is, right?
Right,
Now,
right.
hear me out. Now she got this young Thundercat hopping up and down, exercising on her right now. That's the only thing she's confused about. Yes, he's a gentleman. Yes, Emmett said, I can see why my mom likes you.
Yeah.
But he understands why mom loves dad, right?
Right.
The history there, the longevity. Right now, the only thing that's confusing mom is the fact that she's getting sex, is good sex. He's young, he's energetic. You know, he ain't got to take no pills. You know, he has a bunch of energy. He can move around the house. He can clean stuff. He can fix stuff. But is this something?
Darnell doing the same thing though. Darnell just came over as handy.
But it's something about somebody that knows the knowledge on how to really fix it.
Right? Don't get it twisted. Old folks can put it down too. So
we can.
Yeah, so, I mean, but at the same token, you realize you're in a May December relationship, right? So are you either, see, my point is you're either in or you're out, guys. Yes. You can't have one foot in, another foot out, because you're hurting somebody. And that's what it boils down to. It's the same way with Tiff, same way with Jada. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know, Jada, I don't know where it's going between Jada and Dre, you know, because they seem to still have some.
You mean Nina and Dre.
I'm sorry.
I was thinking the same thing. There's an undercurrent.
Yeah, there's an undercurrent going on there with Nina and Dre. And it's that same kind of unspoken word that it's not being brought to the surface. And it has to be brought, even though they're looking like they're doing virtual.
Yeah, they're doing virtual couple therapy.
Yeah, couples therapy. But y'all need to talk this thing out. Y'all really need to get to the bottom of it. Can you forgive her, Dre, or not?
No.
Well, she's triggered, and Nina's response was kind of flippant.
Well, it was flippant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing that worries me, because I'm just like, are you really sorry? Because you know, when Jada talked about the situation and she kissed Darnell and stuff, that triggered Dre, because Dre has been a good partner to Nina. There was, you know, Nina shouldn't have strayed.
Well, I mean, she did.
You know, I understood why she was upset, but she shouldn't have. But she was triggered. She was triggered by that conversation. And Nina's response was like, well, you know, maybe it was in a rut, or because it was comfortable, and this and that. And I was just like, wow, that's kind of flippant.
It's a dig. It's a dig. And you don't need to do that. If you're trying to get over this thing, you can't be throwing dirt at it at the same time. You know, you got to decide where you are with this. Should y'all break up for a minute and so you can get back to your senses? You know, because sometimes it takes one of them leaving the house for a minute. You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, but too much absence makes the heart wander.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna say or not.
So you got to be, you have to be very balanced with what it is you're doing. And if you're going to be throwing dirt at Dre every time you get an opportunity, or when you see something comes up and triggers what happened, then maybe this relationship isn't meant to be.
Right.
Because it's going to be difficult for both of you to repair yourselves, because Nina has to repair herself too, because you can feel guilty about what you've done. And that guilt is worse sometimes than what the partner is going through.
Yeah, for sure. She has to repair. She also has to recover from it, right?
Exactly right.
That's the whole part. Like, you know, it's tough when cheating goes on, or when, you know, we could all say, you know, we're looking at it from the perspective of it being a series, but in real life, it's the same exact way. It's hard to recover. It's hard to forgive. It's hard to forget, right? It's easy to forgive, but it's harder to forget, right? So in her perspective, you know, anytime these flashes come, she's triggered. She's going to make her pay always, which, like you said, it's not going to last. You know, unfortunately, she has to recover from it, or, you know, they're not going to make it. That's the toughest thing to do, is to recover.
The actual key, the key to it is the person that was cheated on has to, first of all, understand, where am I with this? Am I going to forgive or not? But also, the person that did the cheating has to come very to be very upfront and transparent and understanding. I cheated because. What was the reason for that? Can we talk about that? Because sometimes the victim ain't always the victim. Sometimes the victim has a little to do with why that happened in the first place.
Say it again.
So we have to understand, what did I do, no matter how small or trite, what did I do that could have caused you to go out there in the first place? And so that's what I mean by peeling back that banana and really getting to the fruit of what that problem is. Because if you don't do that, you know, everybody here is a victim, including the cheater.
But the answer is not to, like, the way Nina handled it.
No, it's not the
There
answer.
was an issue, like, you know, Dre wasn't being honest. She was trying to support Nina. I mean,
Right.
Jada, and she wasn't being honest. So she led her, she made Jada feel like she needed to go out there. But Jada handled that wrong. Like, she could have got to the bottom of it too. Just like you said, to peel back the banana, just like, you know, you're saying that the person could have possibly caused the partner to go out and do this. Nina could have also peeled back the banana and had a conversation with her partner to say, I'm feeling like this, before she jumped out there and did that.
And that's even more important. You got to let your partner know, hey, this is what I'm missing. I'm missing this. I need this. This isn't something this isn't something I just want. I need it to survive this relationship. You're either going to give it to me or you're not. And if you're not, then I need to move on and get what I need. Because a lot of times in relationships, that is the number one killer, is that one partner isn't giving what the other one needs because they don't feel as though that their need is reasonable.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
Yeah.
Recovery.
Yeah, we've been at this a minute, so you know.
Because it hit home, you know, and you feel it, you know, as a human being. So you can kind of understand both sides and understanding, like, wow, being cheated on could be so dramatic and drastic to the point where you don't know if you can forgive or even forget, right? So that's the counseling, I believe, is going to help them. Hopefully it does, you know, to the point where she sees, like, you know what, she did this, it was wrong. I did this, I was wrong. And like you said, why did it happen? That's the whole thing. Sometimes in, you know, the other parts don't need to be attacked. The part that needs to be attacked is why. Why? Because if you're expressing you need something and you're not getting it, that's the consequence of what could really happen.
Of course.
Right? Because if
here's the thing, she didn't express that. I mean, she didn't express, she was upset with Dre's deception, and she thought there was deception. And instead of voicing it, she just went out and acted on it. Whereas a conversation could have cleared that up. You know, that was a drastic step for Nina to take.
Exactly.
That was a huge leap. Even if, you know, even the conversation, and Jada is our friend. So even if she didn't feel comfortable, if she couldn't talk to her wife about it, you know, how about say something to Jada? You know, like that. She just really, like,
yeah, she missed the boat.
She jumped ship on that. Yeah. But you know, I think we touched on just about everything. I just want to touch on this one thing before we shut it down. I like the fact that the kids, Kevin and Lene, they came to school, they got in trouble, they got in-school detention for bringing the game to school. But and that's not why I liked it, but I like the fact that they were interested in trying to start a gaming club. And in the school, and they had a teacher that's willing to do that. And, you know, and he brought out, like, he advocated to the principal for them, saying, like, I guess it's white kids, white people on, you know, YouTube or whatever, making money off of them. Like, they making millions of dollars. I can name some games that are. And so the fact that, you know, them doing that is not harmful. I mean, they said they want to get 5 people. And the other thing that I liked is the same teacher that's starting this program for them. In the class, he was teaching them about NFTs and cryptocurrency and all of that. And I was just like, A lot of times in school, especially in the Black communities, we're not always taught financial literacy and things like that. So I was really impressed that that teacher was teaching them about the type of currency, and the kids are making investments and stuff, you know, including the young lady that Kevin is interested in. That already had, you know, they just made them.
That's about Kevin too, because you notice Kevin always have issues with two boos, right? He started falling for one, and then a distraction always comes with Kevin, right? So now he's gonna start getting into looking at the stars and the moon and things of that nature. But then his gaming buddy is always going to be there too as
Lynette.
well. He's going to be confused. Like that's about Kevin a lot too. He always has the thing with two women going on at the same time.
Well, and they already let him know that she does not see him that way. Like he's more like a brother. He's living in the household and stuff. So I think that next week I saw in the previews, he was saying that that Simone, like he already in love, and Jake was like, again, and then Kevin was like, you keep your eyes off him.
Right.
So that's one thing that's funny, and I'm glad that Kevin and Jake were able to recover, and they were even able to like joke about it and have that discussion without there being real issues. So I think this was a good episode. Tiff is on my get the hands list. Anybody else we should put on there who can get the hands list?
Yeah, well, you know, the Bobbsey twins, Duda and Quentin.
Oh, Duda and Quentin, yeah, they can get the hands too. And even I might get Tracy the hands too, because I feel like she's being deceptive with this situation with Trigg, because she's in the cut trying to sell him on the you know, relationship too. She's doing Duda and them's bidding, so I can give her the
both sides.
too.
She's playing both sides.
Playing both sides. So I'm like,
she's in the middle. That's never good.
No, so I think she deserves the hands. A game ball, I think I'm giving Emmett the game ball. I'm impressed with him accepting the 40-day celibacy challenge too, that he's working on. You know, a lot of guys, when stuff like that happens, when they break up with a woman and stuff, some men, not all men, but some men think the next answer is to just move right on to another woman. But I appreciate that he is working on self and working on being present with his children.
Yep, that'll do it.
So is there anything else that we missed? Any predictions that y'all want to say before I shut it down?
No.
I'm looking forward to next week.
That's it.
Yeah.
Excited.
Me too. So, okay, so we're all done. Thank you guys for tuning in to our recap today. Please follow us at The Spot Will Talk on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Click on the notification bell so you can get notifications on all of our videos. Check out our interviews and our playlist. Follow us on social media. We're on IG, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And I think that's about it. And if you want to join the show, make sure, be sure to reach out to us in the comments. Be happy to have you on and join us for one of our roundtables.
Yes, ma'am.
It's always great to have special guests. We've been special guests, and I
love thank you guys.
I love being here. It's always great topics. We're watching great series. We're discussing great writing. So
yeah,
good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you too, my brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always love.
We're working on it. We're working.
Yep. Okay, well, we'll shut it down. You guys have a good evening. Sierra will be back next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.